And good evening, everybody. Welcome to another exciting edition of the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. This special episode on a Friday. I usually have this show every Mondays and Wednesdays at 5 o'clock. I'm giving you a special episode because I got a special guest. We're going to talk high school football. It's part of my high school football scoreboard show that I do on Fridays, as I'm going to recap Thursday night games and I'm going to preview the Friday lineup. And we have a jam-packed lineup. And then joining me later is going to be WMAZ sports anchor Sami Kostas. We're going to talk everything Middle Georgia when it comes to high school football. It's just an exciting time. There's just a different feel in the atmosphere. It is officially high school football season. I know we had a little bit of an appetizer last week. We only had one game in town. Other teams had scrimmages, but this is the real deal. And on Georgia Alabama Sports Live, we are going to have count them up, 5 broadcasts. I know where I'm going to be. I'm going to be down in Casita for the very first time as Chattahoochee County makes its broadcasting debut on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. I am so excited about that. Andrew Rubin and Matt Melton will be on the call. So last night, I was at Garrett Harrison Stadium for Thompson and Central. And let me tell you something. That was a packed out place. There was not an empty seat. I could not find parking. I had to park all the way down at Idle Park and walk up the hill. I was lucky that I was able to use my media credentials to get on the sideline. Saw a lot of media, a lot of Central coaches, the basketball coach, Coach Holt from the flag football team. And it was just a great time just to see everybody out there. I was told they had about 10,000 fans in attendance. That was by far the most packed out high school football game I have ever witnessed. I've never been to Texas. I know that they pack them out 20,000, 30,000 fans, but 10,000 fans. I mean, that's rivaling maybe when Buford plays high school football. This is Central Thompson. It doesn't get any bigger than this in Alabama. You got the number 1 team, Thompson, going up against the number 2 team, Central, and this was a good game in the first half. Central tied it up at 14 all. Bobby Coleman threw a dime to Braylon Everett, and it was 14-14. But Trent Seaburn is a reason why he's going to the University of Alabama. Right when the Central was trying to stop Thompson to try to go to the half, 14-14. Thompson ends up converting on a 3rd and 12. They go up 21-14, and then they get the ball to start the second half, and Thompson puts it in the end zone, and it's now 28-14. Well, this completely changes what Central is trying to do, and I know the score, 41-14. It should not deceive anybody. Central's going to be fine. It's just that Thompson's got some players, and they weren't running the ball. Trent Seaburn was throwing the ball when they were up by 2 scores, and there was nothing that Central could do to stop them. And Thompson could play a little bit more prevent defense. And I thought maybe Central could put up some points in the second half, but Thompson dominated. It does not reflect the type of team Central is, because I do believe that these 2 teams are going to meet in the playoffs, and Central will be better because of it. Coaching debut for Cody Flournoy, the former Jackson coach who won state championships. And he knows that there's an expectation at Central to win state championships. But this is Thompson we're talking about. This is a team that's won 6 out of the last 7 state championships. This is the standard. I'm glad they were able to have this as part of the AHSAA kickoff. It was a great atmosphere at Garrett Harrison Stadium, and I was glad that I was on the sidelines to witness my very first Central football game. This has not happened in my lifetime since I've been here covering high school football. I've always covered other teams, but I was honored that I was able to be on the sidelines to cover Central Thompson and talk about it on the Sports Visions Morning Show earlier this morning. And let me tell you something, Central's going to be fine. They will be going on the road, taking on Pell City. I think that these 2 teams are going to meet in the playoffs. Earlier that day, I had the privilege of talking to Coach Mitchell Holt and the Central Flag football team, the 2-time national champions. No problem against Montgomery Catholic, 38-0. And they didn't even have Kenley Rasmus. She's over in Williamsport striking out 8 batters in her debut in the Little League World Series against Tacoma. And she's going to be an outstanding flag football player, quarterback, linebacker. Coach Holt's going to put her wherever he needs her. She's only a seventh grader. I think that's going to be a great addition when she comes back. But right now, the focus is on Williamsport. By the way, Phoenix City Little League in the elimination bracket. They play on Saturday. But this was a great time to be a high school football fan. Now, over on the other side of the river, I'm going to go back and forth between Georgia and Alabama. Let's get the proper graphic up. Georgia. All right. Thursday night, Randolph Clay taking on Hardaway. And Randolph Clay, they ended up winning 38-6. This Hardaway team is young. Coaching debut of Coach Reginald Wedner. And Hardaway's going to have to learn. They play Kendrick next week. It's going to be tough sledding in their region. But I think that Randolph Clay is a little bit more improved than the team last year. And I tell you, those boys from Cuthbert, they know how to play. It was a great atmosphere. And Georgia Alabama Sports Live did have the call last night, merely making our debut for Thursday Night Football. Thrift and Frosty on the call. Here's what we're going to do. Hey, why don't we do this? Let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, I'm previewing high school football tonight. Some of the biggest games in the area. You don't want to go anywhere. I'm going to start with Alabama. Then I'm going to swing it over to Georgia. It's a Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. It's a special edition high school football scoreboard show. We'll be back after this. And we are back here on the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Usually Friday's show is an audio only version of the show. I decided to give you a video version of the show because I have a special guest that's going to be on later. It wasn't easy getting this guest. When it comes to these sports reporters, sports anchors, they have a very tight schedule. They don't have a whole lot of time to get an interview in. So I was very fortunate that Sami Kostas was able to take time out of her busy schedule to just have an interview, just to introduce her, as she's the top sports anchor at WMAZ. I appreciate making sports. I've had Marvin James on. I do a lot of things with Middle Georgia Sports Live and the GIAA. It was a great interview, and I hope that you enjoy it. All right, let's swing it back to Alabama because we have some big games, including a matchup at Smith Station between Smith Station and Northside. It is the state line showdown. It's going down at TC Britton Field, Panther Stadium tonight. Northside taking on Smith Station. We will have that for you on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. In fact, that's the game of the week. That is high school game day as well. And now let's go 30 minutes down the road in Seal, Alabama for Russell County's home opener as they are taking on Booker T. Washington at Corbett Stadium in Seal, Alabama. And guess what? Georgia Alabama Sports Live has got you covered. Rivalry renewed. Booker T. Washington out of Tuskegee. And let's see. We talked about Central playing yesterday. How about Auburn? Auburn at the Duck hosting Hewitt-Trussville. Massive game for the Auburn Tigers and Coach Etheridge. And cannot wait to see Kason Evans. That's another quarterback. We saw Bobby Coleman and Trent Seaburn yesterday. Kason Evans is another quarterback to keep an eye on for those Auburn Tigers. And then let's see. We've got Beauregard. Beauregard is hosting Reeltown. Reeltown, another championship contender, taking on now the 4A Beauregard Hornets. Beulah, who used to be in Glenwood's region in the last couple of years, they are taking on Lafayette. That should be a good matchup. How about this matchup? Lynette at Poca. We all know the Poca way is working. Lynette got to the state championship last year for 2A, however, fell short to Rush Propst's Coosa Christian. But Coosa Christian is no longer in the public school bracket. So Lynette, I'm excited. RJ McDonald, he is the coach. we know about the history of Clifford's story, and the field is named after him, the championships in 2017 and 2019, and the fact that Lynette was able to get to the state championship last year. They are passionate fans up in Lynette, Alabama. They love their Lynette Panthers. And guess what? That Valley-Lynette rivalry is back, and that's coming next week. Glenwood, speaking of a rivalry, they get to play Lee Scott week 1 because they're no longer region opponents in football. And that's going to be up at Judd Davis Field. Glenwood, Lee Scott week 1. Are you kidding me? That is going to be an incredible matchup. Both teams are now in AA private, and they're actually in different regions. Glenwood has to face teams like St. Michael's Catholic, Miguel Tulin, UMS Wright Prep, Faith Academy. So it's going to be exciting. I cannot wait. Oh, man. We've got so many great matchups. I know that Opelika, they were supposed to be playing Benjamin Russell. Let me get to that. Valley is hosting Hanley. We also got some other matchups. Yeah, Opelika, Benjamin Russell. Let's see what else we got. Laverne taking on Pike County. Dadeville hosting St. James. Cottonwood and Valwood, we got Border Wars. Central Clay County is taking on Fife. And that's really the teams in the area that, just want to make mention. Pike Road taking on Enterprise. A lot of these teams are out of the area. Montgomery Catholic taking on Eufaula. So good matchups over in Alabama. We talked about Alabama. Well, let's go over to Georgia, shall we? Let's go over to Georgia because we've got some fantastic matchups. Let's start with the matchups on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Spencer Brookstone at Max Strong Stadium. Are you kidding me? We've got the GIAA runners-up in Brookstone taking on the GHSA 4A school in the Spencer Green Wave up at Max Strong Stadium. This is what the fans want to see. They want to see private school go up against public school. We have not had a private school play a public school in this area since Pacelli faced Jordan in 2022. And this is going to be a big deal. Max Strong Stadium is going to be jam-packed with Spencer fans on the visitor side of the bleachers. A big fan base. Public schools have a huge advantage when it comes to depth, and also more alumni has gone to Spencer, so they'll be packing Max Strong Stadium. And then Brookstone, they have just a lot of talented players, especially returning starting quarterback Broughton Branch. Took one on the chin last week against Westfield School. They're trying to bounce back after an 0-1 start. I think that Coach Headley's team, they should feel a little bit of confidence that they were able to try to make that comeback, and they had the ball with a chance to try to take the lead. But I am looking forward to this quarterback battle between Elijah Fudge and Broughton Branch. And Dylan Terry is back from injury. Meacham Kelly, fantastic receiver. This is going to be an exciting matchup. I want to see the depth of a public school go up against the talented, skilled position players that Brookstone has. Even though they don't have as many players as Spencer, but they do have some fantastic players that they're up to the challenge facing a public school. It's going to be a challenge for Brookstone, but I'm really excited just to see this matchup. And really, bragging rights is on the line. Private versus public. People, they want to see this because they get excited about, a lot of talented players. They choose to go to a public school, choose to go to a private school. It doesn't really matter. These kids, they just want to play football. And I think that there's pride, a sense of pride from both schools, and they definitely want to show up and show out. All right, in the area, we also got Pacelli. Pacelli getting a big win over FPD last week, 22-21. They're hosting the defending GIAA champions, Stratford Academy, at Dimel Field. It's one of 5 games we are doing on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Dave Plata will be on the call. By the way, Mike Peacock will be on the call for the game between Brookstone and Spencer. Noah Shelton on the call for Russell County, and then Thrip Behringer on the call for Smith Station. Now let's go to Chaco. For the first time in Georgia Alabama Sports Live history, we are live streaming Chattahoochee County football. They are taking on Terrell County, and Matt Melton, Andrew Rubin will be on the call. I will be on the call as far as producing, as I'm excited about making the trip down to Chaco for the very first time for football. I've done it for volleyball and basketball. What are some other games around town? Well, down at Otis Spencer Stadium, we got the Kendrick Cherokees. They are taking on Miller County. So, looking forward to that matchup. Coach Mayo, in his third season, Kendrick trying to boost their resume to try to help their power rankings because they're in one of the toughest regions in all of Georgia. But they have a favorable non-region schedule where I think they can get some wins here. So this is a winnable game for Kendrick as they take on Miller County before they take on Hardaway next Thursday night. Kinnett Stadium's not quite ready yet. We'll have the opener next week, Shaw, Upson, Lee. But at Memorial Stadium, the oldest rivalry in Columbus, it's the Columbus Blue Devils taking on the Jordan Red Jackets. And Jordan has not won a game since 2019, but in comes new head coach Chad Martin, and Jordan is up to the challenge. Columbus making the playoffs last year, trying to build off that momentum. Bobby Peters Jr. now takes over as the starter for Andrew Smith IV, who is now in college. And then I like the running back tandem of Grant Geringer and Rayshawn Glover for Columbus. That's going to be a great matchup. Harris County going up to take on Manchester. That's a big rivalry of border counties. And this is the third time in a row that those schools have played. We've got, what else we got? We've got, how about this matchup? LaGrange is going to Noonan as they're trying to rekindle this rivalry. We've got Callaway that is actually hosting Mount Zion out of Jonesboro, and that's going to be at Callaway Stadium. We got another Mount Zion that's hosting Calvary Christian. This is the one that's up in West Georgia, and looking forward to seeing that. The Carver Tigers, they're going to be on the road up at Lakewood Stadium up in Atlanta to take on Frederick Douglass, the two-time defending GHSA state champions. Second year for Coach Jarvis Jones, trying to three-peat. They're one of the top teams in 3A, but the Carver Tigers are up to the challenge. Shaw is also going to be up in Atlanta. They are going to be taking on Booker T. Washington. So really looking forward to that. Troup County is over by Atlanta Motor Speedway, now Echo Park over in Hampton, taking on Hampton. Marion County over there in Buena Vista is taking on Hawkinsville. But, man, we've got Pike County going down to Butler, Georgia, taking on Taylor County. And then we've got, I love this team, Central Talbotton hosting Cross Keys. Come on now. How about Greenville? They're going all the way down to Macon. The Greenville Patriots are taking on Central of Macon. Man, it's a good time to be a high school football fan in the state of Georgia and in the state of Alabama. Of course, Sami Kostas is going to be coming on the show next. Not going to talk about any Macon schools because I've talked plenty of Macon schools with her in the next segment, including the Gridiron Classic. Their Middle Georgia Sports Live is going to be on the call. Why don't we do this? Let's take a break. Let's go pay some bills. And when we come back, Sami Kostas from WMAZ is coming on the show. You don't want to go anywhere. It's a Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. We'll be right back after this. And welcome back to the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. I am excited about my next guest. As we get ready for high school football, I've been talking to other sports directors, sports anchors, just getting excited about Friday Night Lights. And I couldn't think of a better guest than to bring on the lead sports anchor of WMAZ in Macon, Georgia. Please welcome to the Sports Beat, Sami Kostas. How are you doing, Sami?
Hey, good to be here. Doing well. How are you?
I am doing great, Sami. I've gotten to know you for past couple of years. We've been on the same sidelines when Columbus schools play Macon schools. It's been a lot of fun. But let's go back to the beginning. How long you been doing sports broadcasting? Where did that love for sports start? And just really your broadcasting background.
Yeah, so quite a few answers there. We'll start with where my passion for sports came from. I always grew up kind of being one of the guys, and I've definitely developed a little bit of a girly girl side as well. But grew up, playing football during recess, playing softball. I also had another side where I danced for years and worked all the way up to point, which is the ballet where you stand on your toes. If nobody knows what that is sometimes, but so that level of ballet, loved, being active and all that stuff, and watching football. Especially football was always my favorite, but obviously I wasn't, trying out for the school teams or anything like that. So I decided, what could I do with that passion? And I saw, people like Erin Andrews and Laura Rutledge and strong, powerful women like that on the sidelines and telling sports stories. So I thought, why don't I try doing that? Started out in high school. We had a wonderful broadcasting program at my high school, Summit High School, which is basically like a Nashville suburb, is what I would say. And we had a great broadcasting program, learned Adobe Premiere there, got to be on camera there, got to shoot stuff there as well, and enter broadcasting competitions at that level at high school. And then went to the University of Tennessee, where I continued to do that, and worked all the way up to being a news director for the on-campus news. Also, doing sports broadcasting classes and stuff like that, and worked closely with our sports director, Jack Foster, who's one of my close friends in college, and following the Tennessee Vols, which never short a sports story with the Tennessee Vols, which
Oh
was
yeah.
great. And yes, love that. And so I've always been in the South. Grew up in Tennessee, grew up outside of Knoxville, went to Tennessee for school in the SEC, fell in love with SEC and college sports because before I went to college, I was really looking forward to like being in the NFL and stuff like that at that level. But I really found a passion for college sports as well when I went to college. And then when you walk in Neyland Stadium, you can't help but fall in love with with college football. That atmosphere is incredible. So found that passion, and then applying for jobs. I outside of college, then I went to Tupelo, Mississippi, which is where I got my official big girl job, my start in the career that I'm in now. So I spent 2 years in the Magnolia State. The big things there was, of course, high school sports, because that is what people are doing on their Friday nights. Then we also covered Ole Miss and Mississippi State. We kind of made like a little triangle. So we were about an hour away from both Oxford and Starkville, which was really awesome. Of course, covering two SEC schools, also no shortage of sports stories there. Was there when Mike Leach passed away, was there when Lane Kiffin was with the Rebels. Always something to talk about. And then I applied for this job here in Macon. I've absolutely loved my time here in Central Georgia, also covering Georgia Bulldogs, covering Mercer, covering Fort Valley State, all the things, GMC, Central Georgia Tech, all the high school. So it's so much fun. And there's such a great passion in this state for sports. I think, because we've got Atlanta, we've got everything here, you've got Athens. So much has just been bred. I feel like people grow up being sports fans. So it makes my job really fun when I know I'm telling stories that people care about. And I just loved it. So now we're going into year three. We're year three here in Central Georgia.
Yeah, and you've done a fantastic job. I've followed you on social media. I've watched some of your sports stories that you have done on WMAZ. One thing that's unique about the Macon area, which I have an appreciation for the Macon market, is you've got college football there. You've got Mercer. You've got high school football, big time teams like Houston County, Warner Robins.
Yeah.
Just talk about just the typical sports fan that embraces the Macon area, because there's been some great sports memories in Macon. I just want to take you back to 2014. If you remember Mercer beating Duke in the NCAA
Yeah.
tournament, and I could just go on about some of the incredible sports stories in Macon.
Oh, it's awesome. It's so cool. So many milestone moments. Thank you for watching, of course, too. So many milestone moments we've got to celebrate. I talked to Rick Cameron, the voice of the Mercer Bears, thinking about all the moments that he has witnessed when he covered, a milestone moment of all the games that he has covered for the Bears. So talked with him about that. And one of the things we talked about was Mercer beating Duke, because he was calling games back then, and how cool that was for the Macon community. And even if you're not a sports fan, but you're in a community like this and an event like that happens, you immediately want to know what's going on because there's just so much passion here. And that's so awesome. And just walking up and down the sidelines, talking to people and people feeling like they know me because I'm, in their living room talking to them when they watch and stuff like that. And now with social media, we have a whole nother platform to tell people stories. So that's really cool. Yeah, talking to Rick about that, got to talk to this past summer. Some of the coolest stuff that I got to cover was the MLB draft because we had quite a lot of talent out of Central
Oh yeah.
Georgia going to the draft or, being signed after the draft. And Drew Burris going in the first round. That was really awesome. So I got to sit down with him before the draft, went to his draft party just to watch that life changing moment, his parents showing those emotions and getting to see his HOCO coach there as well. And just so great. And the Houston County community certainly loves sports too. So that was really cool. And talking with Keon Johnson, just an amazing young man and him going off to the Houston Astros and to their farm program. So really excited to see what they do and share those moments with them and their family. I mean, I could go on and on about the cool moments, but those I would say, the most recent, really awesome moments that I've talked about.
Yeah, WMAZ has got a big footprint on Middle Georgia. You cover Warner Robins, Macon, Fort Valley. What are some other surrounding areas you cover? You guys cover like Milledgeville, Dublin. Like what is like the area that you guys are covering in Middle Georgia?
Yeah. So we go as far as like the top of Hancock County and we go all the way down to Wilcox County as well. So that whole radius, that's
Nice.
our Central Georgia home. That's our backyard. And we try to get everywhere we can and the way over to Trutland, all of it.
Yeah, there's no question about it. There's one league that they got a ton of Macon schools, and they play a lot of Columbus schools, and that is the GIAA. First
Yes.
Presbyterian Day, Stratford, Mount DeSales. We got a little sneak preview of high school football last week. You know, Middle Georgia Sports Live did 4 games last week, but this is officially week 1 for high school football in the GHSA. We got some big games in Middle Georgia, including Warner Robins taking on Veterans. We got the Gridiron Classic as a Thrift and I actually we're trying to maybe call those games. We got Rutland taking on Crawford County, and we've got Northeast taking on West Side of Macon. What are you looking forward to most about calling high school football? And just shout out some of your team members that help you shoot games on a Friday night and trying to get to as many places as possible.
Oh, absolutely. It is certainly a team atmosphere. We couldn't do it with our one and only Frank Malloy. Absolutely leading the charge, telling us where we need to go and helping with Tailgate 13, which is also, our preview show before all the action really kicks off. We've got Luke behind it all, producing the shows. And we recently changed over programs as well. So we had to rebuild everything that we've been doing for years. And he really did an awesome job. I could talk all day. We've got our field producers, Colin, Kathleen. We've got my new right hand man, Adam, also just hitting the ground running as well. And, Ben Jones, he's out there doing it all as well. And we've got a couple shooters, Corey and Colin, different Colin, also going out shooting games as well. So it's all hands on deck. We absolutely love it. I'm sure I didn't mention somebody that's out there doing something for us, but I'm so grateful for everybody that's back here at the station or out at other fields covering these sports stories and these young athletes in these amazing moments of their lives and catching all these great plays that we all love to watch. So it's certainly a great time and definitely excited about the Gridiron Classic, third annual Gridiron Classic, 5 minutes down the road here at the station. So we'll be there Friday, Saturday as well, of course. So it'll be fun. It'll be my first Saturday back since college football ended.
What better way to spend your Saturday when there is no college football this weekend to
Right.
watch the Gridiron Classic? Some fantastic games. I know that Middle Georgia Sports Live is trying to stream it. Thrift and I have been talking about making that trip to Macon and maybe calling some games. So I'm looking forward to seeing you on the sideline. Sammy, I want to switch gears from high school football to college football because right there in Macon, you're covering Georgia. You go to games. You got media credentials.
Mhm.
At Macon, Georgia, really a lot of Bulldogs fans. I know that you're really in the heart of Georgia. Talk about how this Georgia Bulldogs team looks when they just had the AP poll out. They're ranked number 3, but they didn't get any first place votes. But what do you think
Yeah.
how Georgia's going to do this year for this upcoming college football season?
I think Georgia's going to be another powerhouse. It's kind of what Georgia fans have come to expect. It's what I've come to expect as someone covering the Georgia Bulldogs. We're excited to see them come out strong once again. I think Gunnar Stockton having that first year of leadership under his belt, he's coming in, he knows what to expect, the team knows what to expect from him. Kirby's talked often about how he might not be the most vocal leader, but he will be leading by example, and he knows how to carry himself in the locker room. So all of that is really important. Of course, the quarterback, one of the biggest roles on the field. So that will be, I think, a big point for the Bulldogs this year. Of course, always having a strong running back. So they're focusing on that as well in the backfield to help Gunner and the offense succeed. And that's what I'm most excited about. Kirby Smart has talked a lot about how this team is really gelling well together. So looking forward to seeing how, sometimes you get some new faces in here, maybe some transfers. We've got a familiar face at Georgia Tech moving on over to the Georgia Bulldogs as well. So a lot of Houston County, Warner Robins representation on the Georgia Bulldogs too. So we'll see how all of those guys play together at the D1 level. That'll be really special to see too, especially from this area.
Oh, no question. And I believe Howard has one of the top players in the country as well. I can't forget his name. I forgot his name, but I know that Howard is also going to be featured in the Gridiron Classic. I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yes. Tashawn Poole is committed. He is off to Florida State University. His aunt went to Florida State, so that was a little connection there. So he's going off to the Seminoles. He did have Georgia on the table there for a while, but he did go FSU so far. You never know sometimes. I think
You
he'll stay
never
though.
know. All right, Sammy. My final question to you:
Yeah.
semi-pro sports in Macon. The Bacon are popular. I've gone to several games the past 2 years. It's been phenomenal. They had some success in the Coastal Plains League, the Macon Mayhem in the SPHL. I know that Macon could have an arena football team. I think they're deserving of that. Talk about semi-pro teams in Macon and how just the fan base here in Middle Georgia is able to support these teams.
Yeah, like I said, it just comes down to the sports fans that are here. There's a passion for really any sport that's out there. We even have Russell Henley in the PGA. It goes as far as golf. Anything that is a sport that is played, we've got one of the biggest pickleball facilities here. If it's a sport, Macon can support it. Love it. If we don't get out to enough games for the Mayhem or we don't get out to the Bacon or something, we've got people that are like, hey, don't forget, make sure you're covering our team, and they let us know the stories that are going on, and we so appreciate that. You've got the Mayhem making it all the way to the playoffs, which was big, and of course the Bacon one win away from winning that championship for the first time ever. So much fun. And of course, it's even more fun when the teams are winning and you can see that passion throughout the stands and those moments with the teams and the players. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked, maybe, here in a couple years if a semi pro football team, arena team really sprouts out. I know we've had a couple here and there, just like lower semi pro teams. So we'll have to see if it can really get some traction, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does because there's the basis here for it for sure.
Well, I know one thing, Sammy. I really want to see that because I love that Columbus Macon rivalry. It really, we claim Russell Henley, by the way. He lives in Columbus, but I know
This
he
is
was born in
true.
Macon.
This is true. Born and trained at Idlehour Country Club right here in Macon, but he does train in Columbus now, live there with y'all. So that's true. We can share. We can share.
Yeah, we'll share them. Sammy, this has really been, I've had so much fun. Thank you so much for
Same.
coming on my podcast. Looking forward to seeing you on the sidelines as high school football. It's already here. We had a taste of week 1, but we're really going to be hitting the ground running. You and Macon, me and Columbus, as we cover these teams that we love.
So excited. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Sami Kostas, she's the lead sports anchor at WMAZ over there in Macon. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching yet another episode of the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can also download on Apple and Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for watching the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. You can catch new episodes on Facebook and YouTube every Monday and Wednesday night at 5 p.m. The Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge is a local podcast that covers sports in Columbus, Georgia.